Next, we're going to model some decimal exchanging. But first, now that we have our decimal board, we need some beads. Well, you might not have beads, or even especially the specifically colored beads that we would need for this decimals work. So what we're going to do is we're going to do it ourselves. So we're going to use a page of graph paper from our notebook, and we're going to use our colored pencils and a pair of scissors. I am first going to, I don't want my pieces of paper to be too small and fiddly, so I'm going to shade in 2 rows, 2 rows of my graph paper. To start in my blue. You might be thinking, but Miss Christine, the tenths are square beads. Why am I drawing a big rectangle? You'll see. Just wait. Next, I'm going to use my red and shade lightly to make my hundredths. I'm going to shade this in as well. Now, if you've got colored paper, you certainly could use colored paper, but not everybody does. This will be our hundredths, or light red. I'm going to get out my thousandths, so my green, it's going to be a light green. I'm going to shade 2 rows of that also in light green. Our lightest green, oh, no, silly Miss Christine. That goes from the thousandths to the 10,000ths. So we'll get out our light blue. Again, I think the more sharpened it is, the easier it is to color and cover more space. That way my hand doesn't get cramped either. All right, so we got our light blue with our 10,000ths. Now we got our 100,000ths in pink. Again, I could be like really particular about shading here. I obviously want to do a nice job, but I also don't want perfect to be the enemy of the good. Sometimes, as we're learning, especially in this past year, certain things just are going to be good enough. Good enough. And then, of course, our light green for our millions. Yep. All right. So what I'm going to do, I'll cut out my strips here. I also don't want us to spend too much time on the creation of the materials and miss out on time to actually do the work with the materials. So we might take some shortcuts here that are just going to make it a bit more efficient for our time. Finish cutting here. Oh, geez. Good enough. Not perfect, good enough. All right. So to kind of consolidate how much time I'm spending cutting up mock beads, paper beads, I'm just going to stack these up. Make sure that the edges are lined up. Again, it's not going to be perfect squares, but it'll be close enough squares. So I'm just going to count over 1, 2, And now I have one of each of all my beads that I made there. I'll do that. And then maybe we can sort them. So we've got tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000. Oh, looks like there are millions and our 10,000s are stuck together. There we go. I realize the lighting makes it a little hard to see the colors here, but in person it's a lot easier for me to tell. And you just keep cutting and sorting your paper beads. If you think it's easier to keep organized, you could just cut one strip at a time. Get all your tenths here. All right. And so this is how we can make our decimal beads.